Are you a criminal yet? Many have been silent for a long time, and trying to educate the masses by only giving bites here and there, and that approach is beginning to take hold. However, there are a number of in-the-know people that are becoming extremely concerned that this approach will not be soon enough to prevent total tyranny. So I think it is crucial to come forward with the bare, ugly truth of what is happening and how it's unfolding in America. Obama has already made criminals out of everyday ordinary law-abiding citizens. ACA, or better known Obamacare website, was never intended to work. The website was never meant to work properly, and I am disheartened to hear people, yes Republicans, have an orgasm over it, and think that's the straw that will put them back in power. Yes, it is a major blunder by the Obama administration. It wasn't a blunder. It was a mass well-designed move. The website was only a diversion and well-designed ploy to buy time to accomplish their goal of forcing Marxist-controlled socialized medicine to the faces of the formerly free American people. A fully functioning website would alert the gross higher costs of this monster, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. They didn't want the American people to know just what in this Trojan horse. They bought more time with this website screw-up diversion by Michelle Obama's college friend in Canada. You know the no-bid contract? How stupid do they think we are? I guess pretty stupid. America has been taken over by communists. This has been a roughly 100-year campaign by the enemies of our blessed nation. We have allowed this to happen. You see, they have been very patient while we have become complacent and apathetic, taking our unprecedented freedoms for granted, trusting our leaders to do the right thing. We have turned away from God's truth and morality, which has led to the devolution of our society to the point that our culture now stands neck-deep in a cesspool of godlessness. They use the applause of their fellows in the seedy, irreverent media. People and practices that would have been shamed by the public just a few short years ago when the moral sensibility of the Americans was still salvageable. With the increasing level of immorality comes lawlessness, and out of lawlessness growth, tyranny subsides. Think about this, the President of the United States, whose number one responsibility is to uphold the Constitution and the law of the land, is telling people and insurance companies to break the law. He is telling Eric Holder to not enforce the law. For God's sakes, people, wake up. It's not just lawlessness that breeds tyranny, but the lack of moral fiber in our leaders also spawns tyranny. We have seen this no more clearly in recent years than in Obama's administration. The Democrats and the dinosaur rhinos in Congress, the courts and federal bureaucracies. And, if there is anything that defines tyranny, it is the Obamacare legislation. A distinctly un-American, completely illegal law that not only dares to force Americans to buy insurance, but also dares Americans to violate their consciences by forcing those and even nuns, to carry policies that fund abortion. U.S. Supreme Chief Justice John Roberts' newly construed ruling, which was illegal, because he changed the already illegal law, does not make this law legitimate, no matter how many left-wing extremists portray otherwise. It is a very bad law, and it will have very bad consequences for our nation if it is not repealed or it collapses on its own. We are already starting to see the effects of this. Because of this new law, many Americans has become criminals for the first time in their life, as of what was, January 1st, or whatever arbitrary, new deadline the criminal Obama, the king has set at his personal wand-waving, because many will refuse to comply with this unlawful mandate. Are we the American people supposed to submit to lawlessness from our own federal government? Is there a point at which we absolutely refuse to comply with their illegal dictates? Whatever the answer, there is a giant that has been asleep gathering support for telling this administration to stick its illegal Obamacare law and say, we will not comply. Of course that's exactly what Obama and the powers behind him are planning on. Doesn't it concern you that one day you are a citizen who has tried to do all the right things and the next you are a criminal? Our federal government has long ago stepped out of its lawful, constitutional bounds and is now functioning in the realm of unconstitutional dictatorship. Since we have seen that the Republicans, who, with mouths full of crap, promised us they would kill Obamacare, have no will to stop this law, Many Americans realize that it's up to us to resist this tyranny. We have no representation in our representative republic. The Rhinos has chastised anyone who has dared to speak out against the establishment. It's not the ideology of the right and left, black and white, men and women, young and old, nor separation of religions or cultures we battle, it's the establishment. This establishment trumps everything in the eyes of the Washington elites, and nothing is more important to them. The old war plan of divide and conquer is certainly beyond denial now. What can we do? Well, there is social media, for the time being. There are many of us that are not willing to turn over and accept this outrageous Obamacare, Affordable Care Act law. Facebook and Twitter is satisfactory for NSA extremists. It can also be a useful tool for networking like-minded individuals. And by the way, the NSA already has enough data to destroy any one of us, so don't spend your time there. The site is awash in anti-Obamacare pages, including an event page called I Will Not Comply, that invites Americans to publicly refuse to participate in this illegal law. As of today, over 35,000 people have committed to it. Another page, Majority Against Obamacare, currently has had over 25,000 likes and probably 50,000 views. I understand that people are afraid to associate their names with such websites, and that in itself is a testament to how powerful the tyranny in our nation is right now. How anyone could imagine that in the year 2014, Americans would have the same fear of taking a public stand against the government that we have seen in people living under communist dictatorships. The killing of Christians and those ideologies that don't agree are being tortured and beheaded. Our backs are against the wall with Obamacare, and that is by design, of course. It was the plan. Because of the outrageous Obamacare requirements for what must be covered by insurance policies, countless millions of Americans are losing the health insurance they already had, and many of them may not be able to afford new policies under the care requirements of this new, legal atrocity. While it would be nice to have it, most people cannot afford health insurance. They are certainly not alone in this. If people have to seek medical treatment, they must pay for it without insurance coverage. Although some lucky people make enough money to pay our bills and get by, they don't make enough to comply with the Obamacare mandate to purchase health insurance, which would cost most anywhere from $600 to $2,000 or more per month. And, no, if you don't take a dime of federal taxpayer money handouts of any kind. The federal government has no legitimate authority to coerce us into buying health insurance or any other product, for that matter, for the privilege of simply being citizens of the United States. Therefore, we will be criminals, as of January 1st, and I know we will be far, far from the only ones. We will not embrace the suck as Nancy Pelosi waved in front of our faces. We will resist the tyranny. Get involved, please. John Villa. Inspiration for this article came in part from Gina Miller, who inspired me to action and helped organize my thoughts. Thanks, Gina.